So we are going to start work today on section 9.3, solving quadratic equations using square roots. Now, the great thing is you have already solved quadratic equations. You have done that by graphing and by factoring. So just so you know, the term solutions, solving, all of that, we've already done that. The other names for solutions are zeros, the zeros of the function, the x values, and the roots. So these solutions, these are, remember, where the parabola crosses or touches the x-axis. So we could have two solutions. Okay. We could have one solution, and we can have no solutions. So just a reminder, when we're talking about solutions, you've already done this. We are looking for the zeros, the x values, the roots, basically where that parabola crosses or touches the x-axis. Okay. So in the lesson for today and tomorrow, determine the number of solutions for a quadratic equation that's in this particular form. We'll be solving quadratic equations using square roots, and then we will also be working on approximating the solutions of quadratic equations. Okay. So the form that we are working on, this x squared equals d. Okay, this is our square roots form. Basically, we need to have any equation that we're looking at in this section, it needs to look like this. So it needs to have our x squared term on one side of the equal sign and our d term on the other side. So when d is greater than 0, then x squared equals d has two real solutions. This is saying in plain English, when d is positive, then there will be two solutions. On our second meatball there, when d is equal to 0, x squared equals d has one real solution. So this is saying when d equals 0, then there's one solution. So two real solutions when d is positive, one real solution when d is 0. And then our last meatball here, when d is less than 0, x squared equals d has no real solutions. So this is when d is negative. There are no real solutions. All right. Just a reminder in case you hadn't thought this out for yourself, if you need to pause the video and write down the things that I'm writing down, then you can pause the video. Just making sure you know that. All right, so example 1, we are going to first determine the number of solutions, and then we're actually going to solve. Okay. Reminder, we need to have our equations in that x squared equals d format. So on this first problem right here, 3x squared minus 27 equals 0, it's not in that format. We need to move the 27. So we do that by adding. Okay, and we've got 3x squared equals 27. Well, we need it to be just that x squared. So we're going to divide both sides by 3 so we can get that x squared by itself. And we've got x squared equals 9. So remember, when our d value is positive, then we have two real solutions. Our d value is positive, so there are two solutions. Okay. And to solve, we simply get the square root and that means that our x, the two solutions, are positive and negative 3. Easy peasy. All right, on this problem right here, again, problem B, x squared minus 10 equals negative 10. This is not in our x squared equals d format. So we need to add 10 to both sides, turning it into that format. So a reminder again, our d value here is 0. So we have one real solution. So that means one solution. And our solution is x equals 0. Okay. Our final problem here, negative 5x squared plus 11 equals 16. Again, we're going to move the 11 first of all. So now we're left with negative 5x squared equals 5. And then we want the x squared by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by negative 5. And now we have x squared equals negative 1. So a reminder over here, when d is negative, there are no real solutions. Our d value is negative, so no real solutions. There are imaginary solutions, by the way, but we're not talking about that here. Okay, so there are the examples, or the practice problems, example problems for example 1. Here are 3 practice problems for you to work on. So you can go ahead and pause the video, work through the problems, and then you can start the video again to go through all of the answers. Okay. So, dividing by 3, x squared equals 25. So d value is positive, so there's 2 solutions. And our 2 solutions are positive and negative 5. Okay, I need to move the negative 12. Our d value is negative, which means we have no real solutions. Okay. And on number 3, I need to move the 15 first by adding 15 to both sides. And then I need to get that x squared by itself. So our d value is 0, which means there's one solution. And our solution is x equals 0. Okay.